Hello and welcome to Healthy Delights. Today we raise the temperature by adding the warming spices of Asian cooking. Seasoning is at the heart of Indian cuisine, and so here in Joyce's kitchen we'll be demonstrating a range of recipes to tantalize the taste buds, from Kashmir and chutney dishes to spicy savouries and desserts. Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Then let's begin.
Okay.
Now, Joyce, for our first recipe today, you're going to be demonstrating red lentils, I believe.
That's right.
Okay, tell us a little bit about the ingredients and why you've chosen them.
Well, the reason why I chose this menu today is because it's really fast.
Oh, right, good.
And for anyone who really doesn't understand or is beginning to cook Indian food, it looks very interesting because it's not only tasty and fast, but it also looks very pretty with a combination of colours.
Lovely. There is a lovely range of colours here. Now you're doing something interesting there. You're shaking around that saucepan with some interesting things in it. What do you have there?
I have mustard seeds and cumin in there.
Right.
And the reason why I'm trying to keep this not from burning is because these spices burn very quickly, so you've got to keep moving it.
Right.
And then the reason why I'm doing it is to bring out the flavor.
Right.
When you cook Indian spices or when you cook Indian meals, you must always roast the spices in order to bring out the flavors.
Right, I didn't know that, you see. We usually, when we cook our dishes, we just put all the herbs in together, but obviously the act of warming or heating spices enhances the flavour. Fabulous. Now, what do you have here? You've got a range of ingredients. Can you just talk us through them quickly?
That's right. This is the curry powder, which is in the form of curry paste, which I'm going to be using. And this is the cumin and the mustard, which I'm using for this particular dish.
Okay.
And then I'll be using some garlic and some onions. And of course, the coriander belongs to it.
Right, okay. Fabulous. Well, that's very interesting. Now, we'll leave you to get on and start preparing. Now, Angelette, it's interesting. We talked about the spices and herbs, and there's a lot of new research about some of the ingredients in terms of spices and herbs, not just because of their taste and the way it enhances flavour in food, but we're now beginning to hear some research about the beneficial effects of some of these spices. Now, let's talk a little bit about cumin, because I think that's one that there is some research on. What does cumin do?
Well, first of all, I think that traditional dishes such as this lentil dish, it's almost as though the tribes or people who created the dishes have a knowledge about food that kind of goes above and beyond any scientific research.
Right.
And so we don't always need research to support all of the foods that we talk about, but we do know that cumin is very good for digestion, and it's good for fat absorption, carbohydrate digestion as well. So it's very tiny seed, but it can be quite effective.
And I think it's interesting because I've always known Indian foods to be very spicy. So I think there's a balance there between these excitable dishes, which, you know, can be sensitive to some stomachs, you know, with the very spicy ingredients. But then you've got the calming effects of some of the herbs, like cumin, to just dampen down the effects. It's interesting.
Yeah, and also the lentils that are used in this recipe, they're very simple. If you notice, they're red lentils. The skin or the fibre on the outside has been removed.
Yes.
And some people have a real problem digesting fibrous foods because they just aren't good at doing it.
Yes.
And so having lentils like this sometimes makes it a lot easier for them to digest.
Yes. That's great. Now, again, there's a lot of research about rainbow colours in terms of the food representing a colour of the rainbow. So again, as we can see, this is quite colourful. We've got a lot of different hues here in terms of colour. Do you want to just tell us a little bit about how exciting it is and the benefits of a rainbow diet, as it were?
Well, a rainbow diet's important because if you look at that coriander there, it's green, and chlorophyll is what makes it green. But there are also different phytonutrients that some of which we haven't discovered yet. that are beneficial for the body.
Yeah.
But in terms of a rainbow coloured diet, the different colours represent different pigments or colourings.
Yeah.
And those colourings actually function in our body. Okay. So, for example, chlorophyll, it's very similar to the way the sort of complex is similar to hemoglobin. So it's a really good blood cleanser.
Right, good, interesting. Now let me get back to Joyce here. Now lentils, red lentil dish here. How long will that take to come together and be ready?
Well, if you've got the lentils cooked already,
right,
you've got about 10 minutes and it's done.
Oh, fabulous.
Okay, I've already cooked it.
Done that?
Here it is all. And this takes about 5 to 7 minutes to cook.
Right. So
very fast.
Did you need to soak these lentils overnight?
Not at all,
okay.
No. Now I'm going to add it on to the sautéed onions, garlic, spices and carrots, okay?
Okay. And the carrots earlier on were just cubed. And is that to ensure that it cooks quickly?
It cooks quickly and it looks nice.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. I'm going to add some water to it.
And so how much water have you added there?
About 2 cups.
2 cups of
2
water.
cups of water.
Okay.
Yeah, it just depends on, and it is an individual taste. Some people like it thick and some people like it thin.
Okay.
I'm going to add to it some seasoning.
Fabulous.
This is also a personal, a very personal thing. I mean, some people like it salty and others don't like it so salty. So.
And so that was about a couple of teaspoons, you'd say, or just about a tablespoon?
A tablespoon.
Right, okay.
A tablespoon, yes. And then as soon as it starts to simmer,
okay,
it's ready. And just before you serve it, you put the coriander leaves in it.
Wow, so that's almost done.
That's it.
Excellent.
That's done.
So a few minutes.
Here you go.
You put the coriander to flavour again and to add colour. And there we have it.
There we have
Red
it.
lentils.
That's right.
Ready for tasting. Now this next recipe has an interesting name. Kashmir spinach. Now Kashmir, this comes from a region in Kashmir. That's the history of this dish. Now Joyce, housewives want something quick and easy and tasty to prepare. Spinach doesn't usually grab you as an exciting dish. What are you going to put in it to make it tasty and exciting?
Well, I will put some garam masala in it. And that really brings out the flavour.
So garam masala is
a mixture of different kinds of Indian spices, which Angelette will explain.
All right, so
okay.
Let's turn to our nutritionist. What therapeutic benefits are there from this garam masala?
Okay, first of all, it has fenugreek seeds, which are quite bitter in themselves, but when combined, they have quite a good flavour. These are very good for digestion.
Right. And we did this we learnt about this in the previous dishes, didn't we?
We did. And then we have cumin seeds, which you can either have ground down as a powder, and in the garam masala, it's roasted and then ground down. So those are a lovely option. Then we have coriander seeds. We've got coriander leaves here, but we have the seeds in the garam masala. And then cardamom, which is like a pod, and it's got tiny seeds inside. That adds a very aromatic, warm flavour to the garam masala. And all of these different foods, where there have been research, have shown the ability to aid digestion. And that's really important with any food, to be able to digest it properly. Because if you don't digest your food, you won't absorb the nutrients.
That's right. And is it interesting that the 4 seasonings you've mentioned, they're all strong. They have their distinctive flavour. And so, of course, that would brighten up any green foods like spinach, which children don't usually find that exciting. So to have had something that's so highly seasoned will really make it interesting. Now, Joyce, tell us what you're doing now.
I'm just mixing the onions and garlics which have been sautéed with the spinach. And as soon as the spinach begins to wilt, I'm going to put a little bit of salt in it. Again, this is a very personal preference. If you want it more or if you want it less, it depends on your taste buds.
Okay.
There you go.
Obviously, we usually advocate not too much salt for the health benefits there just to ensure that foods are not too salty, but just enough to bring the flavour out.
That's
yes?
exactly right, yes.
Okay, and at what point do you add the garam masala?
The garam masala I added to the sautéed onions and garlic with the spices.
All right, so that's already been added. So
Yes.
obviously while we were talking,
While you were
got on with
talking,
that. Fabulous.
I sautéed the onions and the garlic, and then I put the garam masala in.
Good,
it, yes.
fabulous.
And a great thing about the spinach actually is that it's green and it has calcium in it.
Right.
And that calcium is important for the bones. And when it's cooked in this way, it reduces the oxalate, which I spoke about before,
Right.
which sometimes binds minerals to prevent them being absorbed in the body.
Right.
So cooking actually reduces the oxalate, so minerals like calcium can be absorbed.
Better.
And that's
Fabulous.
important, especially if you go out in the sunshine as well and get your
Right.
vitamin D.
Yes.
And also cumin helps with vitamin D. It has, I think one of these ingredients has boron in it, which helps
Right.
the absorption and the synthesis, or when we make vitamin D in our body. So it's a good choice.
Good, excellent. Okay then, Joyce, so you've added now some red peppers, I note.
And some
Yes.
cherry tomatoes.
Right, it's interesting. You've added the cherry tomatoes whole.
Actually, you know, I like to cook with colors.
Right.
And when I eat my food, I like to see contrasts.
Right.
So I like the contrast of green and red.
Okay.
So that's why I put some bell peppers in it.
Okay.
Finally, I've got it again.
Okay.
Instead
good.
of paprika.
Okay.
And I put some cherry tomatoes in it
Yeah.
to add to the coloring.
And what I was asking is, you've added the tomatoes whole. You
Yes.
haven't cut them. Is there a particular reason for that?
Well, you can use the larger tomatoes and cut them in small pieces and put them in. I just put cherry tomatoes there. You know, it's kind of a thing you get used to as children. My mother always used cherry tomatoes, I use cherry tomatoes.
And it's nice to see them whole because it adds, again, as you were saying,
Yeah.
contrast.
That's right.
Fabulous. So what else do we have to do for this dish? It looks almost done.
Well, it is done actually.
Oh, great.
That's how fast it goes.
Okay, so there you are. Very quick. Your Kashmir spinach ready for tasting. Now, Joyce, we're going to demonstrate, or at least you're going to explain, one of the famous condiments, plum chutney. Now, tell us a little bit about how you prepared it. It looks wonderful, as you can see here, this rich colours with the plums. Tell us how you've put it together.
Well, it's so simple and easy. Onions and garlic sautéed, and then you put the fruits in, and then you add some salt. Let it cook or simmer for a little while, and it's done. And there are so many different kinds of fruits that you can make chutney from. You wouldn't believe it, but you can even make them from different kinds of berries.
Right.
And it looks so beautiful.
Aw.
And it makes the dish look so pretty.
Oh,
And I used plums because plum is such a nice red color, isn't it? And of course, you know, that's one of the reasons why we freeze, at least I freeze, and the European people freeze a lot of berries.
Okay.
Because you can use it for so many different things.
Good.
Well, since I have discovered that you can even make chutneys with it, I even have to freeze some more because I often make chutneys.
Oh, lovely. Now, when you prepared the plums, did you part boil them or did you soak them? Did you remove the skin? How did you actually put the plums together?
I just cut them in pieces.
Right.
And that's all. No skin. I did not take any skin away.
Right.
And one thing I would like to say at this point is that when we make roast, like nut roasts or any other type of roast, instead of using gravy, I use chutneys.
Oh, good. That's a lovely addition.
And that really is something very special.
Good.
It really makes it tastes good. It's a good combination with the roast and the
it's
chutney.
quite interesting.
Yes, yes.
Now, Angelette, the benefits of plums. Obviously, the main ingredient in this dish is the plums for the plum chutney. What beneficial effects do they have?
Well, we've been speaking a lot about fibre. Fibre's in the spinach and also in the lentils. And so it's really important that we can actually not only have the great amount of fibre in our diet, but also be able to pass it through our bodies. And the great thing about plums, as most people know, is that it kind of has a laxative effect. It has special sugars in the plum, known as sorbitol. You've probably heard of sorbitol, which means the sugar gets released at a slower rate into the blood. So it's good to improve blood sugar, and it helps to promote good digestion and you know, all the important things to reduce constipation as well.
Right, okay, great. Now everything is together. As you remember, we had our red lentils that was cooked earlier on, our Kashmir spinach and our plum chutney. Now we're ready to taste the finished products.
And look how beautiful it looks.
Yeah, it's lovely. Very nice array of colours. Lovely. Let's taste. Okay, I'll try the lentils first.
Okay.
Very highly seasoned. Lovely. You can taste the coriander there.
Yeah, nice.
And a little bit of cumin.
That's right. And some curry powder.
Yes.
Curry paste.
Yes.
Yeah, coming through.
Lovely. Fabulous. Should we go on to the spinach and see what that's like?
Yes.
Okay, I'll have a little bit of that as well.
And I will too. It's just crispy, not cooked too long.
And still very green as well.
You just let it wilt and that's it.
And definitely more flavourful than the spinach we have at home. Great. And then finally, the plum chutney. Let's see what that tastes like. Difficult to get off the fork.
I think I'm going to have a bit with a bit of lentils.
And I'll have a little bit with the rice.
That does taste interesting.
It's a nice combination.
Very soothing, fruity.
Sweet and sour type.
Yes,
Yeah.
lovely. I would love that with a roast. That would taste
Yeah.
very nice. So there you have it, a complete dish with the condiments from the plum chutney and a whole meal with the lentils, the vegetables and your rice. Now we're going to demonstrate a quick and simple Indian dessert. Vermicelli Indian pudding. Now Joyce, that sounds very interesting. Tell us the ingredients for this particular dessert and how it's going to turn out.
Well, actually, I just put 3 tablespoons of oil in there and roasted it so it's browned, you see?
Okay.
Nice and brown. And then I add to it soya milk.
So which type of noodles did you have there?
These are very fine noodles which are called vermicelli.
So very, very fine noodles, okay.
Yes.
All right.
Usually they use it for soups.
Okay. Now that looks like a lot of milk. How many cups would you say goes into that?
There's about 8 cups of milk in there.
Soya milk, okay.
Soya milk. That makes it exactly 8 cups.
Okay.
Then some honey.
Is there a particular type of honey that looks quite rich, quite smooth honey? Is there a specific type or you just use any honey for this?
Well, you can use any kind of honey. I was very privileged that I could, every time when I go to Spain, I can go to this farmer and he has his bees who suck the nectar of oranges.
Oh, right.
And that's why I actually like the flavor of this orange nectar.
Orange nectar. Oh, that sounds interesting. That should be nice. So we've got the vermicelli noodles, the very fine noodles. We have the honey. Now you added some almonds, and now we've got the yellow raisins. Why yellow? Is it just to blend the color, or does it give a specific flavor?
Well, actually, the Indians, for some reason, use yellow raisins with this recipe, but it doesn't have to be yellow.
Okay.
You can use any kind of raisins you have
I
on
suppose
hand.
it blends in with the colour of the roasted vermicelli. Now you're adding another range of nuts. We've got here the pistachio nuts.
That's right.
And is that added for flavour or crunchiness or texture?
Well,
What is that?
this is used for garnishing.
Oh, garnishing, okay. And do you crush those or chop them finely?
Chop them finely and just sprinkle a little bit on the top.
Okay, good.
I'm going to let it simmer for a few minutes and then it's ready to eat.
Good. So while you're doing that, I'll just ask Angelette, again, our nutrition expert here, on the ingredients. So, of course, we've got a range of ingredients here. You've got the vermicelli, the starchiness, and then you've got the protein from the soya milk. Tell us a little bit more now about the nuts. We've got 2 nuts, the almonds and the pistachios. What health benefits can you share with us from the nuts?
Well, as we said before, nuts are very rich in fats, And the types of fats that they tend to contain are monounsaturated fat, which is really just talking about the structure of the type of fat that's inside the nut, and polyunsaturated fats. Now, the monounsaturated fats and something called omega-6, which is a special kind of fat that you can only get from eating foods that have omega-6 inside, helps your skin. The skin cells like to concentrate omega-6 inside their cells, and it helps you to have nice, smooth skin. It also, if it helps your skin, it helps all the other kind of organs in your body. If you think about your lungs, you think about your digestive tract. If you've got good skin, then all the other ones hopefully are going to be in good health as well. So it also can help with hair. I mean, it's just a good quality whole fat that's there. It's got the plant sterols that are really useful for lowering cholesterol. It's got the vitamin E that protects the fat in the body. So it's very rich in nutrients. To be eaten moderately, maybe a handful a day. And so in this recipe, you won't get more than a handful. So that's quite good.
That's lovely. And what I like about this particular recipe is that there's no additives as such. It's whole foods or natural foods. You've got the nuts, and then you've got the honey rather than sugar, and the soya milk, which is really great. Now, tell us what the next step is now, Joyce.
The next step is to enjoy eating it.
All right. Let's see. How is it served?
It'll be it's served. Well, actually, most Indians like it warm.
All right. Okay.
But most of Europeans like it cold.
Okay.
So you can make it ahead of time.
Okay.
And when it's cold, you put it in the fridge
Mm-hmm.
and serve it really cold with your favorite berry on the top.
Okay.
Of course, sprinkled first with these pistache
Okay.
nuts.
Okay.
Or you can serve it warm.
All right. Okay.
Okay.
So it's very versatile dessert then. Okay. Now, how do you know when it's all? Do you keep stirring, or you just leave
Yes,
it?
you have to
What
keep
do you do?
stirring it until it gets nice and soft.
Okay.
But not so soft that it gets sticky.
Right. Okay. So will the vermicelli, will the noodles, will they swell or what?
Yes,
Okay.
indeed, it swells.
So it absorbs a lot of the milk there.
That's
does
right.
It?
That's right, yes.
And the amount of, did we measure the amount of noodles? Because it's nice to know the portions. Did you just
250 grams.
250 grams to the 8 glasses of milk?
That's right.
Fabulous. And so is this would be a normal everyday weekday dessert, or would you serve it at weekends or special occasion? How is it usually served or eaten? How often?
Well, I think this would be a very special dessert for a special occasion.
Okay. So that's how you usually eat it. Fabulous. Now, Angelette, as a dessert, do you think this would be attractive to teenagers or?
I don't know. The thing about teenagers is that they can be quite picky. But one thing about teenagers, children and adults, is that they have something called neophobia, which means if you've never tried something before, usually you don't like it. So you have to try it apparently 5 to 10 times. And after that, you start acquiring the taste. So that's really good for fruit and vegetables. If children don't like it at first, just keep introducing it to their diet over and over again. And eventually, they'll begin to acquire a taste for this. And because this isn't a sort of typical dessert, you never know. They might like it straight away, or they might need to try it over and over again to like it.
Well, it's got great ingredients, so I'm sure it would be tasty. Now, how many minutes do we think it'll take to finish it all up?
I think just a few minutes more and should be ready to serve.
All right, so there we have it, the vermicelli Indian pudding, which will be served shortly. Now we're ready to serve. As you can see, the Indian vermicelli pudding is ready, and that looks great. So we're just garnishing it now with the pistachios, the finely chopped pistachios, and a little strawberry there. And mint leaves, Ari.
That's
yes? So fabulous. I'll sprinkle a little bit more pistachios on my end because I love nuts. And then we can taste it. Is that right?
Go
Yes,
ahead.
Yes, it's okay.
There you go. Fabulous. All right, Angelette, there you go.
Thank you.
And we'll have a taste just to see what it all comes together.
It's hot.
Okay. Very nice. I like the honey and the nut mixture.
Interesting, yes.
Goes well.
Mmm.
Mm.
Nice and
I'm
nutty.
tasting the noodles and the sultanas, the raisins with the pistachios. That's a lovely combination. Very well. Lovely. I can recommend it. I certainly recommend it. So there we are, Indian vermicelli pudding. Wonderful to taste. Hello and welcome back to part 2 of our Indian cuisine sessions. Now, today we're going to be demonstrating a blend of ingredients which will give each dish its distinctive taste. The first thing we're going to start with is chapatis. Now, Joyce, there are some interesting ingredients in this chapati you're going to demonstrate. Just tell us a little bit about them.
Well, normally I should say actually, is that chapatis are made just with white flour. But to make it more nutritious, I've added some ingredients in there.
Okay.
And that is 2 cups of oats, half a cup of sesame seeds, or you can use almonds as well, and a little bit of salt, and 3 cups of white flour.
All right.
So I tell you, this is the most nutritious chapatis that you can imagine.
Oh, well, I'm looking forward to taste that, because chapatis I know is usually light. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with the oats and what that does on the sesame seeds. Now, while you're busy doing that, I'll ask Angelette some of the questions in regards to nutrition. Now, Angelette, oats, there's so much research about the benefits of oats, and it's interesting to find it in a chapati dish. But tell us, what can oats do for the body? How beneficial is it?
Well, oats, they contain soluble fibre, and a soluble fibre absorbs things like toxins or waste products in the digestive system. It also helps with motility, so it helps with the exercise of the digestive system.
Right.
And it contains things like special fibres known as beta-glucans that help to lower cholesterol. So all wonderful things in oats.
All right. So, and of course, people can use oats in different ways. It's very good for skin. It's very good for healing. It's a very nurturing, healing type of food, isn't it? And so it's interesting to see how it will turn out. Now, the other ingredient that Joyce mentioned for this chapati was the sesame seeds, which is quite unusual for chapatis. But of course, sesame, there is another huge research that's been undertaken looking at the benefits. Again, it's one of those seeds. It's very nutritious. Tell us a little bit about what that can do for the body.
Well, sesame seeds are rich in calcium, and that's a good choice to increase calcium levels. And overall, it's also got special oils in it that are useful for the body, for the skin, general health.
Great. And so generally people can put sesame seeds on their salad or vegetables. This is going to be cooked, no doubt. You're going to be cooking the sesame seeds. Is that right?
No, I'm not going to cook them.
Wow.
But I've got the ingredients, the oats and the sesame seeds, and I'm going to grind them now.
You're going to grind them. So what will you do with the sesame seeds after you've ground them?
I'm going to add it into the white flour, and I'm going to then put some water and make a dough.
Okay. So any difference with the way that's prepared at all with that sesame seeds? It's going to be included with the dough.
If you grind up a sesame seed, then it's going to break it down a bit, so it will allow the contents of it to be released into the food. All
right, so that's again another point for release. Now let's see what you're doing here, Joyce. So this, you've got the ingredients now with the
Now it is really nice and fine.
All right.
Just like flour.
Okay, so that's
here it is.
Fabulous. So tell us a little bit about this special equipment. It worked really fast to ground those oats.
Well, it's a nice machine to have if you can have one.
Okay.
Otherwise, you can buy ground oats and ground sesame seeds.
Okay.
And mix it together, not forgetting the salt, of course. Mix it all together like this.
Okay.
Then you make a hole in the middle.
All right.
Add the water.
And is that cold water or warm water?
Oh, this is hot water.
Hot
that I forgot
water.
to mention that.
Hot
yeah.
water,
It
okay.
has to be hot. And you
Okay.
know, the reason why it has to be hot is because that makes the chapatis nice and soft.
Oh, right. So that obviously the temperature of the water makes a difference to texture. And fabulous.
That's right.
Okay. So definitely I'll be looking forward to trying this myself at home, because this is certainly a new way of preparing chapatis. Now, Joyce, what would you normally have the chapatis with?
Curry
Okay.
and some raita.
And raita, that's the sauces, is it?
That's right. Raita is a sauce. Just like the Mexicans call their sauces salsa, the Indians call them chutney and raita.
Okay. So that's coming together nicely.
And of course, afterwards you have to use your both hands. But one has to be very careful because this is really boiling water.
Oh, right, so it's that
Yeah,
hot?
that's why I'm using a tool to keep my
right.
hands from getting burnt. And that's this.
Right.
Well, that's the best part of cooking, using your hands anyway, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Okay. So obviously if we'd forgotten the water or used the lukewarm temperature, would that make the chapati a little bit...
I prefer,
Firm or-
yeah, that's right. It's just very,
Okay, so that's coming together. Now, obviously with the chapati, the flour, Angelette, that's... you talked about the fibre a little bit earlier on. Carbohydrate content, just give us a quick review about what that does in terms of energy and...
Well, flour is pretty much a very high source of carbohydrates, and carbohydrates are the sort of major source of energy for the body, because they get broken down into glucose.
Yes.
But the body can make glucose. It can make glucose from other things as well if there's not enough carbohydrates in the body. But carbohydrates are good because children burn up carbohydrate really well, starchy carbohydrates, should I say, like breads and pastas. As you age, you don't metabolize or burn up carbohydrates in the same way, especially in the Western world where they don't exercise as much.
Yeah.
So sometimes in the afternoon, if you eat starchy carbohydrates, you feel maybe a bit tired,
Right.
like potatoes or breads or pastas. But I mean, here Joyce has added some oats, and that's obviously increased the fibre content,
Yes.
lowered the glycemic index, and those are all positive, like recipe modifications that
Yes,
anyone can do.
yes.
It doesn't just have to be chapati; it could be in other breads as well.
Yes, yes. Good. Well, there we have it. So what's next, Joyce?
well, now I'm going to roll it
Okay.
and then make little balls and
Okay, let's see.
cook it on the pan.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Good, good. Joyce, this is progressing nicely. So that's the amount you take. Can you just, for the viewers, just show us how much? I never quite know how much to take to make the chapatis. That's a small amount.
That's a small amount.
Right.
Roll it like that
Okay, and press
on the flour
Mm-hmm.
and you're ready to roll.
Okay.
But I've got to watch over here that it doesn't
Okay.
burn. Then I turn it around when it's
All right, you base
when
it
it's brown.
intermittently.
When it's a
All
little
right.
bit brown, you turn it
Okay.
around, you know.
And is that olive oil or?
That's olive oil.
Okay.
And then you turn it over
Okay.
and you put a little bit of oil on the other side. See, it's getting brown. Just a
Okay.
little bit brown it's getting.
Okay.
So you quickly put a little bit of oil on.
It's quite a technique, isn't it?
Yeah, it
to
is.
know what to do.
And then you turn it over again.
Oh, so
Look
it's
how
quite
quickly
quick.
it
Yes,
cooks, yeah?
yeah.
In the end,
And we've got
it should
one
look
here.
like that, yeah.
Fabulous. And already the texture is really quite firm and, you know, substantial.
That's
So
right.
that looks fabulous. Great.
So, this is how you make chapatis.
Good. Good.
Most people think, wow, it takes so much time, but it really doesn't. You saw how quickly I could grind
Yes,
it.
yes.
I mixed it with the white flour, added the hot water,
Yes.
and made a dough, rolled it out, and there you go.
are. Fabulous.
Brilliant.
I think we could manage that at home, don't you?
Yeah.
Great. And
There you
so
go.
when we get the rest, we can put with our sauces that we're going to do next. So there we are. This is chapati with the oats and the sesame seeds that's been ground. And we're looking forward to the additional renta where we'll add our sauces with this dish. For the second recipe, we're going to demonstrate a savoury dish, potato curry and cashew nut dish. Is that right?
That's right.
Now then, Joyce, I see an interesting array of ingredients here. I haven't thought about cashews with curry. Just tell us how you've made the cashew cream. That looks very interesting.
I put 1 cup of cashew nuts and 2 cups of water. But if the consistency is too thick, you can put some more water.
Right.
Because it is not so good when it's too thick.
Okay.
It has to be a bit runny.
Okay.
That's what I'd like to say.
So let's see how that cashew cream is. Okay, so that's about the consistency you feel.
That's the consistency
All right.
you should have.
Good. So
now,
tell us about your ingredients for this dish.
Onions.
Okay, those are frying away nicely.
Garlic and some chili.
Okay.
Some curry paste.
Okay. Obviously, that will give it the nice flavour coming out there with the herbs and spices.
You can put more curry if you want.
And is this a particularly mild curry or very spicy? It's not
Mild
too hot?
curry. Mild curry. You know, the thing is this, Sharon. The reason why I made cashew cream and potatoes is because I think it's a very good combination.
Right.
You've got your protein and you've got your carbohydrates all together.
Good.
And most people think, oh, well, vegetarian food doesn't last very long. You get hungry so quickly. Well, with this, and you can include rice in it too if you want. It's a real meal.
So that sounds good. So the sautéed onions and garlic and herbs are being sautéed there with the curry, and you had initially some olive oil. Was that right? That was in the pan?
Yes.
Okay, fabulous.
And I've got cooked potatoes, so it goes faster.
Right.
In the recipe, I have raw potatoes, but you can have the potatoes, you can cook the potatoes before.
Right. And these are diced again.
Diced,
is that really, again, to absorb all the flavours? The smaller the portions are?
The smaller the better.
Good,
yes.
good.
Then you add the cream.
All right. So that's added right away, all together?
Added right away.
Right.
Yeah. And when you're cooking it raw, then you have to wait until it's soft.
Right.
When the potatoes are soft. This time the potato is cooked already, so you can put the cream in right away.
All right. So the cream goes in once the potatoes are partially cooked or cooked through.
That's right. Then I add some salt.
Teaspoon there. Good. Now that already looks an interesting mix. So, Angelette, let me just ask you, because sometimes people are concerned about food groups, which food groups to have together, what should we mix? And so we've got a typical dish here that has protein and starch, or protein and carbohydrates together. In terms of its digestibility, is that a good mix? And what time of day would you say? Or I would imagine it would vary from person to person and your health condition. But tell us a little bit about that mix of protein and carbohydrates.
Well, to be honest, I think the ability to digest food depends on the food and also depends on the person who's digesting the food. And often people have potatoes and cream and they have no problem digesting it. But if you have a problem digesting fat, you would have a problem digesting this dish because of the high fat levels in the cashew nuts.
Right.
But if you have something like high cholesterol levels and you weren't allowed to have as much cream, cashew nuts have shown to lower the amount of LDL in the body, which is called low density lipoprotein. It's a type of kind of like fatty thing that travels through your blood. And also have shown that even if you have half a portion of cashew nuts a day, it can reduce your risk of heart attack by 20%.
That's amazing. And so, Joyce, this is a really excellent dish, you know, for those who've got high cholesterol or, as Angelette was saying, problems digesting fats, because you've got the healthy fats in the cashews, and that blend of protein with the cashews and the carbohydrates from the potatoes is an excellent mix. So fabulous, another healthy dish. How long do we have this simmering for its completion?
Well, I've got it on high heat right now so that it starts to simmer. And as soon as the heat goes, the heat has to just go through and it's ready to eat.
So there we have it, potato curry with cashew cream.
Exactly.
I can't wait to try this dish. Now, these two recipes are condiments and side dishes, and we're going to demonstrate orange renta and spicy bananas. Now, Joyce, let's start with your first recipe, the orange renta. I'm not sure I've got the accent right, so you'll need to say it again.
Raita.
Raita. Okay. And as always, the recipes are in Joyce's cookbooks that we've been showing you each series. So firstly, let's talk through the ingredients here. You've got plain yogurt, and in your book, you've got here 4 cups of soy yogurt.
That's right.
Okay.
That's what it is.
And you've got salt to taste, obviously, if people felt they needed a little bit of flavour, but some people don't need the salt there. So plain yogurt, and now you've got some segments of oranges.
That's right.
Can you use other citrusy fruits like clementines or tangerines, or would you just stick to orange for this particular dish?
I would stick to the orange
That's
because
right.
the other is too sweet.
Ah, so that's right. There's always some reason behind it.
Well,
all.
I shouldn't say too sweet. I should say too sour.
Ah, so the oranges gives it a fresher taste.
A fresher, and it's a little bit sweeter.
Okay, so now I saw you add some ingredients there. As that looks interesting. Is that the cumin seeds or the powder?
That's right. Roasted cumin seeds.
Roasted cumin seeds.
To bring out the flavour.
All right. And you can use powder as well, can't you?
Yes, you can.
Okay. All right, so what do you do now? What's
I'll just mix it.
Okay.
That's the soya yogurt, diced oranges, roasted cumin, and some salt.
Great. It's interesting that dishes that we would normally just, serve with yogurt and oranges, that would be it. But the cumin seed is going to give it an interesting taste. So how would you serve that?
I would serve it with the chapatis I've made just now, and the curry I have made.
Okay.
And there's one more dish that I would like to introduce.
So let's have a look at that. These are your spicy bananas as you have here in your recipe. Now, this is quite quick. Talk us through how you prepare this one.
Well, I just sliced the bananas the way you see it now. I added some lemon juice to it, a little bit of salt, and finely chopped green chilies.
Now that's an interesting ingredient. Bananas and chilies. That doesn't, we're not used to that in the UK, but we're here to learn the Indian cuisine. So we're very excited to taste some of these new dishes. And what sort of flavour does that give? Is it sweet and sour or sweet and spicy?
That's right, it's sweet and sour.
Okay, and that's served as well as a side dish, and the orange renta as a condiment.
That's right.
All right, so what we're going to do, we're going to put all of these together and we're going to serve it ready for tasting. Okay, Joyce, we've got here now the completed dishes from today's menu. And we have the curried potatoes and curry sauce, curried potatoes and cashew sauce. We have the spicy bananas, the orange renta, and the chapatis. Now, how would you actually commence this? There's a particular way you have your chapatis and the curries. Can you demonstrate to us?
Normally, we just tear it.
Okay.
Roll it in our hands. Take a little bit of curry.
Okay, so we can manage that. So let's try that. So we're going to demonstrate the... and you can actually wrap it, the potatoes, in here, can't you?
Yes, you could.
Yes, I think I'll try that together. Then you get the combination of taste. So I'm just going to include the curry and wrap it in the chapati.
So I'll take
hopefully it will
well.
work. And then taste it.
Just taste a little bit of it and see.
Now, how do you like that?
That's nice.
I like the combination of the potatoes, and I can taste the curry from that and the blend with the chapati. I'm tasting a difference in the chapati. It's a little slightly heavier than the usual chapatis, but it's filling and it's quite substantial. So that's a thumbs up for this one.
And to be honest, you don't notice the cashew nuts that much. It's a mild curry because but it's very nice. Potatoes goes very well with curry, and it's very mild, so it's lovely.
Thank you. Would you like to try some of this raita?
Right, let me collect my spoon.
I will try some. It's interesting with the cumin. I've never tried that combination before.
Now, Joyce, can you actually add that with the chapati as well?
Yes, you can.
Okay, so let's try that.
That's actually very nice. It's very nice. The orange and the yogurt and the cumin. It's a nice combination.
Very refreshing.
And it's quite sweet as well. And you wouldn't have thought that it would taste like that, actually.
Well, I'm happy about that you like it. And how about the spicy bananas?
That would be
also
quite
quite
interesting.
unusual.
Shall I go for that with some chili peppers on the top?
Well, let's try that one.
Hot chilies.
It's a nice side dish, isn't it? Goes well with the
Yeah, I think I
chapatis,
need
the
some
curry.
potato to
So I'm tasting
to
the
swallow
banana
that
with
chili down.
with the lemon, and the chili is spicy. So in goes the tomato and the cashew cream to cool the senses.
It's a very interesting and well combined set of dishes there.
There we have it. Our completed Indian cuisine for today. Tantalizing the taste buds, definitely. The eating experience is further enhanced by a creative and relaxing atmosphere. The ambience that this table setting creates stimulates one's appetite for the meal ahead. Today we demonstrated a variety of dishes for the Indian cuisine. Some of the favourite colours that Indian women wear and like to have around them are the pink and purple hues, such as you see here today. Create your special environment for your eating experience and make your eating experience a memorable one.